So the next presentation is transport in Luxembourg. I announced on Wiki that transport in Luxembourg is very, very, very cheap. Public transport. So you can have a ticket for 2 hours to go anywhere in Luxembourg for €2. And if you want to travel the whole day, wherever you want to, then it's €4. So it's definitely cheaper than anything I've seen, except for if you just go walking. So I'm mostly going to talk about open data first, and then I'm going to cover the rest. So open data is not governmental, so we are going to try not to push this too far on the government, right? This is the definition of open data as you can find it on Wikipedia. The keywords here are freely, everyone, republish, without restrictions, copyright, patents, or mechanisms of control. That's the definition of open data. So now, on a hackathon, a colleague of mine from IAM, whose boss is here actually, so they are sponsoring, so you should thank them later. We built Transport for Luxembourg. Transport for Luxembourg is mostly just an API thing, but it actually started 2 years ago, in October 2014, so that was just after the last camp, where I published an API that was not to be disclosed, because the public transport authority did not like that, as you can see by the hashtag. Anyway, we have friends on Twitter, right? So these two people, you gotta know, they are now working for the government. The first one said, when people have to hack your thing to get access to bus information, then it should have consequences at your place. The second one just said, please be kind to each other. But the second one was already working for the government. So this is what I came up with just after the API that I disclosed. This is an account that tweets all the delays of trains in Luxembourg. We had some issues with some Trier guys in the beginning because we had hashtags like Trier and all the other cities, and we were just flooding their hashtags because the network here is so good and we did not have any delays, right? So yeah, they couldn't come up with a solution of contacting people, so I made that. So as you can see here, like in 28 days, it gets like around 200,000 impressions on Twitter, which is, I don't know, but like people can't tell me that they're not reading this, right? So later on, I think this year in something around February, March, they launched this open data portal, which is powered by the government. It runs on Amazon because they don't pay taxes. Yeah, so they published that. That's a good idea, I like that. They did publish some cool things, but nonetheless, there was still no information about the trains. So people still liked travel alerts, I do, because on the 31st of May, nothing worked, like the whole network was down. So everybody knew it because somebody tweeted of it, and that was the bot that does that. It's not actually me doing it. So now we're going to cover the API of the open data portal. I don't know about the German guys who are in here, but maybe you can recognize this. Have you ever seen the Hafas dump? Like, this is what you get from Hafas. It's unusable. It's very, very unusable because of all these things. You know, like, you've got spaces in there everywhere. There's no reason to do that. You've got numbers, like the reference is just, I have what this is. It's just some random string that they came up with, and they just inserted that into here, and then they thought it was a good idea. Same thing as for the documentation of their API, which is just, I don't know, I can't find it. Like you can look into the documentation for what is the cat code, which is probably going to be category code, and it just says this is the category code. But you know, like there's a 5 in there and it's a string and you don't know what this is. It's just a 5, you know, like it might be a 5 or it's not a 6 for sure. Then we can go further where you can actually see the stop ID, which is very usable, you know, it's like with commas and, I mean, do you even know this special character? In German, I'm not sure that you know these, that you actually use them, but it's not usable to make an application with that. So what we did on this hackathon was we're just passing all these things and we're making it kind of usable. We made what we could, right? It's not easy to read from something that is unreadable. Also, they only do like their proper JSON. So what we did is we had stations as JSON. We also had GeoJSON. So we dropped the first thing after a hackathon because people were angry at us not using GeoJSON. And we're also providing the departures as a streaming API. I did not know about the streaming API before I made an account on the developer.tfl.co.uk, which is the Transport for London thing, the original copy of our product. And they do have streaming APIs, so you can actually keep track of your bus or train in real time, and they just do that, and it's usable, and people use it, and it makes apps better, and you can actually have companies who build up on this data. Nonetheless, a few weeks ago, somebody told me that the city of Luxembourg has people counters in their buses. So on July 14th, I said, buses of City Luxembourg have people counters, but the data isn't available yet. Imagine knowing if the next bus was crowded or empty, right? That would be cool. You could just go and get a coffee because the next bus is crowded anyway. Or you could just not get a coffee because the next bus is empty and the one after that is crowded. It got a lot of retweets and favorites and responses from other people. City Luxembourg did not reply, so I was like, okay, I guess I won't get a response from you guys in this matter, really. The thing is they really don't like to talk in public, but they do send direct messages. So they said, hey, here's the answer, because as a direct message, because otherwise it would be too long. So these sentences are already really long. So then they say, the actual software version does not have the information in real time, but the service of the buses do have to go to every bus in the evening and download the data from the bus. So probably they have to plug in a USB stick and then they can download that, and then I have no clue what they do with it because it's unusable at that time. What are you going to do with it? So then they said, well, but you know what? End of 2017, you are going to get information about this, and it's going to be available to everyone in another format. So you're going to get 0%, 25%, 50%, or 100. So yeah, either it's half full or it's completely full. You know, it's like
no, they say free capacity. So if it's 0%, it's full, and 25% it's 1/4.
Yeah. So if it's 3/4 full, it's completely empty. I don't know, I have no clue. But anyway, I can recontact them in 2017.
Yay.
So yeah, let's just wait a year. Anyway, I don't think that they like that I disclose these things. I've actually only seen this 2 days ago because they sent it to the wrong account. This did not go to my FAQ account, this went to my Kavishichen account. because apparently they know that this is the same person, but they did not just, I don't know, why don't they just reply to the person who asked them? Anyway, I only saw that because I went on TweetDeck for a Hexagram and had to see some stuff. So yeah, that's what we're at with public transport in Luxembourg. It's cheap, but it's not reliable. I think we've got one person in here who wants to switch to a car because she doesn't like to take the train anymore, because sometimes it just doesn't show up. So, you know, well, shit happens. So thanks a lot for your attention. Do you have any other questions about us? I think that every other country is quite of, I don't know, maybe you have access to these informations or not? Are you actively involved in projects like this, or?
But I was sometimes surprised, so expats in Luxembourg, they tell me, oh, transport in Luxembourg, it's great, it works and everything. So,
yeah, but
they come from countries where there's actually no public transport.
I know this situation. I also know that a lot of expats, like that I've been talking to, who work for either the European Commission, they do have their flat in Luxembourg City. So if you're really, really close to your workplace and you can just take one bus to go there, then if this bus just fails, you can just take another one. But if you do have to rely on one train that gets you to Luxembourg City where you have to take a bus, then you have to rely on two systems already. If you have to rely on 3 buses, then nothing works because the buses don't even wait for the other buses. Sometimes we do have buses that wait for trains, but also sometimes they don't because the train's too late, you know. Then you just lose the connection and you can just stay in Luxembourg City for the night. Because the next bus is coming at 5 in the morning, so you better get up.
Yeah. But also the bus doesn't know how long to wait because it doesn't know how late the train is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because nobody knows.
There's no communication.
Yeah. Lately we did have a casualty on the train tracks, and the lady from the train company, she did not know that, so she was not expecting to go back. So she asked the guy on the station why they actually stopped on the wrong station side. You know, it's like they were on the wrong platform. But she did not know that. You know, like the whole thing was blocked 1 kilometer from there for hours. She did not know that. So they just expect people to magically think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And if the communication is not working inside of the company, it cannot work outside of the company. They can't get the message out if they can't even handle it inside of their own building.
How much use does public transport in Luxembourg see?
Like percentage or?
Like, is public transport like really popular to use in Luxembourg, or do people still say, you know what, have fun with your train, I'm getting my car?
Yeah, so that it depends on the demographics that you're looking at. A lot of people who come from Belgium or France or even Germany do travel by train. France is, I think, the biggest connection that we've got. So these trains are just full of people. Like, you can't even get in there anymore at the station just before Luxembourg City. If you look at people from, like, Luxembourgish people from Luxembourg, then it might be completely different, because there is a tendency to just have your kid get their driver's license at the age of 18, because that's just how we roll. You know, it's like so this is your birthday present. Have fun with your car. I don't know. There's no way of telling if people are not using it because it's unusable or because it's just a thing not to use. Because there are a lot of people that actually use the public transport on Sylvester or National Holiday or on these days, where they know that there are going to be traffic jams, and it's going to be hard to get to the city or to actually get a parking spot in the city. But if they don't know that, then they prefer to ride around with their car for half an hour looking for a parking spot than to actually take the bus. And also, when you take the bus every day, then, yeah, I don't know, it's hard to say that you're not annoyed by it, because you just can't rely on it. You know, like, one day you say, okay, I'm going to take the bus at 7, the train at 7, because then I arrive at 7:13 in the center of the city, and then I'll just take the bus and be at work early. And on exactly that day, something fails with the buses, and then you arrive at work even later than if you had taken the train 50 minutes later. There's no point in actually taking the public transport if you don't know if it's working or not. And they do not announce any problems, because everything is working. That's actually something that the newspaper said lately. Like, there was a big hassle at one of the major rail crossing controls, and they just did not answer any questions. And even, apparently, that's what the newspaper said, even the French people, like the French guys from their service, was annoyed that they could not get a proper answer from the Luxembourgish train guys on how to handle this now.
There was also the statement that the train 10 minutes late is on time. It's only longer than 10 minutes, and then it's late.
Yeah.
10 minutes is still.
Yeah.
But the trains are in a 15 minutes interval.
Yeah, somebody from the company said everything that is under 10 minutes is still like on schedule. But you can't give an answer like that if the trains are supposed to run in a 15 minutes like separation, right? Because then just the next train is 5 minutes early. You could also say that. Sometimes they also just say, oh, this train is 15 minutes late. No, you cancelled it. That's what you did. It's not 15 minutes late. So thanks again for all the questions. Have fun with the rest of the camp. And thanks a lot.